5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett and this is the Ramble, and we go until, yes, you know what it is, midnight tonight Eastern time. Let's go to talk to a friend, okay? Okay, let's do what we always do. We call out to Las Vegas and we talk to our good friend Stephen Pearl, if he's there. There, it's ringing now. Mm-hmm.
I told you, never call me when I'm whacking off over pictures of Nancy Walker. I'm an old-fashioned guy. That Planet of the Apes haircut just turns me on. Hello?
You know, what's amazing is that you come up with such just references that no one listening to this program right now would even understand. Nancy,
I know, isn't it great?
Nancy Walker, my fucking God, Jesus
Next week we'll have some Joe Dorita references.
Oh, well, Joe Dorita, at least some people would know because they go, oh, well, that was the other Curly.
He was the unfunny Curly.
He was the unfunny Curly. He was not funny at all, was he?
Oh, I'll tell you guys, I'll join the Stooges, but you can't hit me, and I won't say woo-woo. Oh, hey, Mo, where the fuck now? What are we going to do? Well, I even came up with a song, Joe Dorita, shitty stooge. He would not let Mo hit him. He would not take a pie or say woo-woo, and there's a lot more, but, who wants to hear?
Because I was thinking about it, and, I was never a big Three Stooges fan. Okay, but I do know about them, and I do know their history, and I do know that the original Curly was, to begin with, not a bad-looking guy. In fact, he was very big with the women when he first started out, and then they made him get fat, and he stopped getting laid, and that was enough to depress him.
Yep, made him fat, and they shaved his head, and boy, that fucked him up.
Yeah, but he
loved him for it.
He was maybe the most beloved stooge, would you say?
Oh yeah, because he was the most childlike. So he was. Everybody loved Curly.
Yeah, and but Curly of the three was the ladies' man. People don't realize that.
Yeah, I think Mo and Larry were like happily married anyway, and Curly was. Hey Mo, I'm going to the club tonight.
Now, did Curly quit or did Curly die?
Curly had a stroke and he had to quit, and then he died.
I see.
But there is, after the stroke, there's one episode that all four of them are in, Mo, Larry, Shemp, and Curly. Because Curly played a snoring passenger on a train. And you can see him, and he had a full head of hair. His hair had grown out by then, so a lot of people didn't know it was him.
Oh, do you know do you know which one that is? What it's called?
Oh, yeah, I can look it up, and I could Google it, which is the Three Stooges with both Curly and Shemp in it.
Yeah,
I can look that up, and
now a lot of people. Shemp replaced Curly, but he didn't exactly replace Curly because he didn't try to do Curly.
He was also a stooge before Curly.
Yes,
and I think in the early days, and then he left to do solo, and he replaced Curly after he got sick.
He officially was a stooge. I mean, he was one of the brothers.
Yeah, and he was funny in his own right. He was hysterically funny.
Well,
in his own right.
What happened was he got out of the Stooges and went into just being a regular actor in movies, and appeared in tons of films.
Oh yeah, you see him as a bartender or a fight promoter or something like that.
And he was
working man role.
He was very successful. So what brought him back to the Three Stooges? Did they just say, "Hey, we got to replace Curly"?
I think they just needed him, and they come there. Most my brother Larry doesn't mind getting his hair pulled out and smacked in the face, so I think I'll join.
Yeah. Let's see. Mo, Larry, Curly. Larry was the only non-brother, right?
Yeah, he was very fine. He was a friend.
Yeah.
He's got an actor. He played the violin, and then he joined the Stooges, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Yeah. I just never found them. Did you find them funny?
Oh, when I was a kid, I loved them, and I watch them now, and I like them. So yeah, I'm a Stooges fan.
I mean, I kind of I understand it. You know, you know, I understand the whole appeal of the Stooges to some people, but I just never found them funny.
Yeah, they're funny I guess on the lowest level, but I like silly shit that really doesn't make any sense. There's like three guys with silly haircuts, with one of them beating the crap out of both of them, and all these crazy sound effects that you would never hear in real life. Yeah, and if anyone did that to someone in real life, they'd be dead.
Yeah. But when I was a kid and we used to go to the Saturday matinee, boy, there's something nobody knows about the Saturday matinee. Oh, God,
yeah, that's extinct.
Do you remember the Saturday matinee yourself? You must.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sure, 50 cents, man. You see like 2 or 3 monster movies or something.
Well, no, it would be, unfortunately, it would normally be a Western, which I never... They never really appealed to me although I did watch them, and I did know Roy and Gene and who were a few of the others, Charles Starrett, the Durango Kid, right?
Good old Tom Mix killed by his luggage.
Well, what?
Tom Mix was killed by his luggage. He made like a short stop in his car, and all this luggage in the back went forward and broke his neck.
I didn't know that.
Yes, look it up. Tom Mix was killed by his luggage.
Jeez almighty. Now, Tom Mix is before me. He died in
1940.
the only Tom Mix that I knew, was the radio program, and it was, they always announced it as Curly Bradley as Tom Mix. And Curly Bradley played Tom Mix, and they had all these stories about Tom Mix, but I think he was dead by the time the radio show went on. Or he may have been on it earlier, and then when he died, they replaced him with Curly Bradley. How do I remember these names, but I can't remember my wife's? Curly Bradley, we used to go to these matinees, and they would have a cereal, and it was what I call slow binging. It's slow binging. You would every week definitely. They would have a new one, and you would go back to see how the guy got out of that predicament in the previous episode.
Oh, that's how they get you. They go every week, man. There's always got to be some like big trouble going on at the end of the episode, the end of the serial.
Yeah, but
got to come back next week. Well, how will Tom Mix not fall off the cliff? Come back next week and spend more money.
Exactly. So, no, but he falls off the cliff. How is he going to survive the fall? And then the cheat was the next week you went, and they showed you the final scene leading up to the ending.
Sure.
Right?
You say what you just saw.
Right. And then they would show you a shot you didn't see before. That was the excuse for how he got out of it.
Yeah. He fell off the cliff but landed on a pillow farm and bounced to safety.
Yes, exactly. But they show the pillow farm before he falls, and that wasn't in it the week before. So I always thought,
wait a minute.
I always felt every week I was suckered and cheated. You
were swindled, baby. Welcome to real life.
Yeah, I was suckered and cheated by these cereals. So I mean, the
Hollywood bastards.
But we had the ones I remember. They had this. I grew up in the era of the Columbia cereal. Okay. Prior to that, Universal had been very big in the field because they had Flash Gordon and so on. But by then, Flash Gordon was not even a cereal in the theaters when I was going to them. It was like Superman. There was Batman with a guy wearing a suit that had wrinkles in it. I mean, it was like a...
Kirk Allen. He was like the first Superman, I think.
He was the first Superman, Kirk Allen. Yes,
in the 40s.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then they did the Batman, which was just... The outfit he was wearing.
I remember those with that mask with the rubber ears that kept falling over.
Yeah, but also he was wearing like the leotard was made out of felt or something like that.
No, they spared no expense for those costumes.
They had no miracle fabrics at that time. Okay, they didn't have Lycra and things like that.
They did the best they could.
Yeah, and so they would always have a cereal, and you got suckered by the cereal because that's what kept you coming back week after week after week after week after week. And then they would always, and then there was a cartoon. Now, when the cartoon, you went to the Saturday matinees, so. When the
it was, the cereals were gone by the time I went. They showed like 2 or 3 monster movies or whatever, and you went home happy, full of popcorn.
Okay, so now it's cartoon time, and you could always tell by the first 3 seconds what the cartoon was going to be because it was either the Looney Tunes opening or whatever.
Yeah.
What cartoon opening did you absolutely decide you were going to go out to the lobby? And you didn't.
Let's see. I love the Warner Brothers cartoons.
Right.
If it was a Harvey cartoon,
that's it.
Harvey comics.
Bingo. Casper the friendly fucking ghost.
I hated that dead 5-year-old kid. I wanted to kill him, but he was already dead.
Yeah. I mean, what a terrible bunch of cartoons. Heckle and Jekyll.
Oh, those are pussy cartoons. Yeah, those are just lightweight cartoons. I hated them.
There were a few others.
I watched them, but I hated them.
Few others, and they were and whenever they came on, I went to the lobby and bought some more candy or something,
time for Milk Duds. Reaches Milk Duds surplus money.
Oh, you remember Sugar Daddies?
I love Sugar Daddies, sure, man. I rotted many a tooth to those Sugar Daddies.
Yeah, and let me see here. What were the other ones? Well, of course, you know what
Sugar Daddies would rot your teeth, and Milk Duds would pull them out because of all the caramel in them.
Well, my favorite candy, and to this day it's my favorite candy because to this day they still make it. Jujubes.
Jujubes. Oh yeah, Jujubes. That's like the rubbery stuff or something.
Those are the little pill-like candies.
Yeah.
And I love those. I still love them to this day. I love the texture. I love the way I can play. I put 2 of them in my mouth at the same time and then make them like stick to my eye teeth and my bottom tooth and bring them together and squish them. And I loved Jujubes.
I was a junkie and still am for malted milk balls. I could dive in a bathtub filled with Whoppers and never come to the top.
Really? Yeah. Jujubes were always my favorite, and they're my favorite to this day. In fact, I used to go down to this candy store down near Houston Street that sold them in bulk, and then I would bring them back home and just eat a whole pound of Jujubes over a period of time. And that's why I went on a diet. Now that I'm on a diet, I can't have the Jujubes. But I'm figuring I've got to go to my urologist, and if he says I've got cancer and I'm going to die, okay, which I doubt's going to happen. But if he says I'm going to die, the last thing I'm going to do is buy a pound of Jujubes.
There you go. Yeah, go out and smile.
I mean, forget saying, "Hey, do I look fat to you?" Because I'm going to get a lot thinner. So
yep.
So then I'm hitting the Jujubes. I may even try heroin.
Lots of it.
And lots of it. What the hell? Why not?
What could happen?
Hey, what
could possibly go wrong?
That's going to kill you. Well, it's a race between that and the cancer. Okay.
I'd rather take a quick ride out with a monkey on my back than linger. Yeah.
But anyway, so getting back to the theaters, I went to every Saturday. I went to the movies, and you know what I did? I'll tell you. I lived about a mile and a half, I think, from the movie theater up a hill in San Anselmo, California. Would walk down to the Tamalpais Theater, which isn't really there anymore. I think the front still is, but it's now a furniture store. And I would walk down to the Tamalpais Theater, and I thought about it the other day. And what parent today would let his kid walk a mile and a half to a movie theater and go to it by himself?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Especially, like I was 8 years old, 9 years old. Parents did that all the time. The kids just went out and they went to the movie theater and then they came home.
I did that, and I'd lock my bike up outside, and the bike would still be there when I got out, and I'd go home.
But parents, I don't think today, wouldn't they like take the kids to the theater and pick them up or go to the theater with them?
Yeah, unless they couldn't stand the kid, then they just, okay, we'll pick you up tomorrow. Do all the movies. He's a bad kid. That's why we left him at the movies. No attorney would convict us.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, so
I
anyway.
tell you.
So, I mean, I got a great story, though. Got a great story to tell you.
Okay.
About the Tamalpais Theater. My parents decide they want to go to a movie. And we also had this dog, and his name was Kipper, Kippur. We named him after Yom Kippur because that's what we got him on, Yom Kippur.
He's that old.
And people always, Orthodox Jews found that upsetting, that we named our dog after the holiest Jewish holiday.
Those Jews have no sense of humor. I've been saying that for years.
But anyway, Kipper was the stupidest dog you could ever meet. I mean, this was not a brain trust of a dog, okay? But he had certain wonderful qualities, like he was loyal and loving, okay? And we loved Kipper. Well, now my parents one day decided they're going to walk to the movie theater rather than drive to the movie theater. So they start walking, and they look in back of them, and here's Kipper following them. And they go, Kipper, go home. So Kipper turns around and he starts going home, and they're walking a little further, and they're looking back at them, and there's Kipper again. He's still following them. And every time they turn around, they yell to him, go home, and the dog turns around and acts like he's going home, and then when they turn around and look back, there's the dog. So they get to the movie theater, and there's the dog right behind them. So they go, well, Kipper, we're going into the movie theater. And in those days, dogs, by the way, knew how to get home. You know, it wasn't like today you don't even let your dog out of the house, or if you let him out of the house, he's on a leash and all of that. In those days, the dogs ran wild, and then they came home for dinner when they were hungry. Yeah. So they said, we're going in the theater, Kipper. Stay. Okay, so they go in the movie theater, and it's a double feature. Okay, it's like in those days, it could be a double. I remember the worst double feature I ever went to was like Ben-Hur and something else, and they were both like 4-hour movies. They were on a double bill,
Oh, God. My ass hurts from sitting so much.
Oh, by the way, here's a term you never hear anymore in a movie theater. Is this where we came in?
That's right. This is where we came in.
Because you would walk in at any time into a movie, and it would be in the middle of the film, and you'd watch it, and then you'd watch the next film, and then you come back to the film you were watching, and then you would get to the part where you came in, and you look at the person next to you, and you go, is this where we came in? Yeah, well, let's go. Okay, so my father says to my mother, this is where we came in, let's go, and they get up and they walk out, and there's Kipper. He's still there. And they start walking home. But the dog isn't walking too well. He's like staggering. And finally they go, what happened to Kipper while we were in the movie theater? They finally get home, and the dog is like, he's behind them, but he's really dragging tail. They get home, they go to sleep. They wake up the next morning, the dog is still asleep. That's how tired he was. Okay. My mother can't figure out what the fuck happened. So she gets a call from this woman she knows, and they say, oh, guess what? We were going by the Tamalpais Theater yesterday, and we saw Kipper. And what we did is we got him in the car, and we took him home for you. And my mother went, oh, that, what? Because Kipper was outside the theater. She gets another call from another person. Hey, guess what happened last night? We were passing by the Tamalpais Theater, and we saw Kipper, and we put him in the car, and we took him home. She got 3 of these calls. Apparently, 3 people had taken this dog, taken him home, and then he turned around and went back to the movie theater.
That's too far. It's like an I Love Lucy episode right there.
Yeah. I mean, you could make that into a movie, for crying out loud.
Yeah, he wasn't so smart, but he was loyal as hell.
Yeah. So, What a great
poor tired Kipper.
Yeah, good old Kipper. What a great dog. He eventually died, as do all dogs that you have.
Yes, they all break your heart at the end. So
I don't get an animal anymore because who knows?
Yeah, I came into 3 cats, so hopefully they'll outlive me. So, which is very possible.
Well, no,
we'll see what happens.
Hopefully they don't. Hopefully you will live to be 100 years old, and they will all be long dead.
Oh, I don't want to be the last one.
But I don't want to get a cat and have them
Who
look
goes
at
to your funeral when you're the last one? Everyone's dead already.
I don't want to get a kitten and then have them sitting here looking at me going, I'm going to be here long after you're gone.
Oh, I'd be fine with that. And then, when I'm dead, they can eat me. So they can stay around for a while. Well, everybody who's the victim.
Cats have been known to do that.
Yep. And I'm fine with it. If I'm dead, do whatever. Stick an M80 up my ass. Stuff me with newspapers. I don't care.
Yeah. So, and movie theaters in those days were completely different in the way they operated and everything else. To begin with, you had a box office outside the theater. Remember that box office? It was a box, is why they called it a box office. They
turned them into photo mats later on. So.
Yeah. And it was just another time for movie exhibition and so on. It was just a whole different thing. And then I remember, when television came in, movies had to compete. And so what they competed with was they came out with new screen formats. And they came out with like 3D to begin with, which you couldn't do at home. And they came out with CinemaScope, and that was the first big widescreen format. And I remember every theater converting to them and how they converted to them. Some of them didn't have the ability because they didn't have a proscenium. That's the width of a stage, folks, to put in a wide screen. So they had to take that same area and kind of letterbox it, But that was a day when movie theaters were completely different than they are now. Now they're just you got to get there on time when the picture starts.
Yeah, sure.
By the way,
I can't remember the last time I've been to the movie theater.
Really?
I just wait 6 months. Everything's on HBO.
Well,
so if there's anything I want to see, which is hardly anything. So.
Well, do you remember the great revolution that Alfred Hitchcock created? We were watching the film the other night, Psycho, in which he had the thing. No one will be admitted to this theater after the film starts.
Oh yeah. After the shower scene or whatever.
No, after the film starts. You have to see it from you must see it from the beginning. And that was the first time a motion picture ever said, hey, you got to watch this from the beginning. And then they started making films that you had to watch from the beginning. And eventually, nobody thinks about getting to a movie theater an hour late, and then we'll just sit there and wait till the thing comes around again.
Yeah, sure. Just get there when I get there,
and by the way, if you go to that movie theater and you sit there, and then the movie's over, and you want to stay there and watch it again, forget it.
Yep.
You're asked to leave.
Yeah. Big Teamsters with billy clubs come up there. You don't want to stay, do you? No, I don't want to stay.
Yeah. You don't want your eyes to watch movies, not be able to watch movies again, do you?
You don't want your knees to bend the other way, do you? No, I don't want that. I'll feel it.
We're going to break your eyes.
Break your eyes. I'm going to take your fucking Adam's apple out and play handball with it. Then I'm going to rip out your pancreas and sponge my car with it. Then I'm going to take your lower intestine out and play jump rope with it. You get the picture? Yeah, okay, I get it.
I get it. Yeah. No, we don't have all the wonderful. We actually, when we were growing up, we had a lot of wonderful memories. And life was simpler then.
Much simpler then.
And
I kind of wish I had a more memory of the 50s. I was born at the end of 55, and I kind of have slight memories of the late 50s. I remember the early 60s growing up, and the parents could let their kids ride around on his bicycle. You wanted to find your friends, you just rode around until you found them. And it was a simpler time, and you didn't have to worry about derelicts and kidnappers and all that shit.
Well, I mean, do you remember when the worst thing you worried about at school wasn't a guy coming in with a gun and shooting up the school? It was the
never thought of that.
It was the class bully.
Yeah. Yep.
That was your biggest fear about going to school. Oh, the bully's gonna beat me up today, or he's gonna challenge me to a fight, or whatever. that was maybe the worst thing ever. And they never made a big deal out of bullying. Today they make a big deal out of bullying. Hell.
Oh, yes.
Bullying gave me...
Back then, it'd be a little bit of shoving around, and that was pretty much it. You didn't get shot, or unless you were in an inner-city school, you didn't get stabbed or anything. So,
I maintain, and we're running out of time here, but I maintain you would have never been a comic if it weren't for bullies.
Yeah, Joe Russo for me, and he died on my birthday, and I'm glad. Fuck you, Joe Russo.
Yeah, but what you did is you became funny as a way of warding off people who would want to beat you up.
It probably had something to do with it. But that one guy I didn't like, but he died later on a horrible death, and he died on my birthday, and I was very happy to hear that. Thank you, God.
Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful person, comedian, the funny guy.
Thank you.
Funny guy, funny man, Stephen Pearl. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Alex. It's always a pleasure to be on your show, and we'll do it again.
5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Yeehaw! Yeehaw! Anyway, how are you? Welcome back to our program. Hey, listen, I love talking to Stephen because Stephen's funny and I get to reminisce about a lot of stuff. Okay? Anyway, let me open up the Skype lines here. Excuse me, I'm picking my nose. Actually, it's not. I don't pick my nose. It's not a pick from the Seinfeld shows. No pick. My nose itches, and so I scratch it a lot. So it itches more than I ever imagined it would. Let me see here. We're opening up the Skype lines. It's now active. A lot of you probably at this moment should be seeing. Okay, my what do you call it? My green light go on. Okay, God, my nose is itching something terrible tonight, and I don't know what do you do about nose itching? Well, there were hairs in here, and then I try pulling the hairs out, but then that makes my my eyes tear, and it's not fun, folks. It's not fun. Okay, I'm all set to go here. Now I just got to wait for people to start calling me, and we can... Oh, here comes Phil Meyer, the first one up in our citizens panel. And let me see here. Let me just go to, let's see, the 3-shot. There we go.
Well, you pick it for a little while, and then you pull the hair out enough to where you can reach it with a pair of scissors, and then you cut the errant nose hairs.
Yeah,
and they won't itch if they've been cut off and killed.
Did you ever get one of those nose thingies that you buy and they're electric? Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah, yeah, and they sweep around and
yeah, they do their little sweep around thing.
Yeah. I have every invention known to man for the nose hair, and the scissors are with blunt end.
Yeah, but they don't work that well. Those little nose thingy.
The electric ones?
Yeah.
No, they don't. And the battery dies when you need them.
Yeah, but I mean, it goes in there and goes, me, and then you still have hairs.
Yeah, no, that's not the
I
deal.
want something that goes in there and just,
yanks it out, yeah.
Probably Josh doesn't have this problem because really you start growing hair where you least expect it, okay?
Yeah.
You don't grow it any... I'm losing hair under my arms, getting very thin, okay? But my nose, hey, it's doing its thing. Let's see here.
The time you grab one of those hairs and you pull on it until it hurts, and then zip with the scissors.
I'm trying to get Jeff Stein here, but I click on the thing and he doesn't. There we go. I think we got him. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Jeff doesn't have nose hair. That's his mustache.
I had to click a couple of times here to get Jeff on for some reason. I don't know why.
Thank you.
Huh? Yeah. So,
you said hello?
Yeah. So I had to flick it a couple of times to get you on. I don't know why, but here we are anyway. It's working.
One of the guys I shoot with has a handlebar mustache, and he actually goes to a convention of other people with handlebar mustaches.
Yeah, well, that's a great hobby.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, what do you do for a hobby? I grow a mustache.
Yeah. Yeah, they sport some pretty interesting ones.
Well, the thing is, I tried about a half a year ago, I tried to grow a beard. I think you may remember. And it just it didn't come out right. Now, look at Jeff. Look at Jeff. That's a beautiful beard,
I just trimmed it the other day.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is...
A lot good.
Yeah, but I mean, your beard is full, and it's rich, and it's nice. And I tried it, and it's got a little blank mark here, and something else there. And it's just, I can't do anything else but this.
2-day stubble. That's what I got.
Oh, I get stubble here, and you don't even notice it.
Sometimes I go 3 or 4 days, and then I get embarrassed. And
women who might be listening don't understand what we guys go through with shaving. The shaving is maybe the most horrible thing that we have to do.
Women can claim that they're European or something when they got the hair under the pits and they haven't shaved their legs.
Brazilian.
One way or the French,
What Jeff?
I remember as a teenager.
Yeah.
Shaving in high school.
Yeah.
And it was blood.
Really?
Well, in those days, though, you didn't have the razor technology that we have today.
You had a one blade.
One blade, two sides.
Right.
The Gillette, and you screwed the thing, and it opened up like a fan, and you set the blade in. And those blades they'd cut you.
Those were brutal. Yeah. They were brutal.
Then they invented the Bic razor, which had 2 blades, and it was, a disposable. But the thing was that you can't go, when they went to the 3-blade, you can't go back to the 2-blade and shave. Yeah, and now they got 5 blades.
Well, wait a minute.
I wouldn't be able to go back to the 4-blade.
I remember Saturday Night Live years ago doing a parody when Gillette came out with their first 2-blade razor.
Yeah.
And they said the first razor, they said, well, this is the new Gillette. The first razor, the first blade lifts away. And then they got up to 3, and we were laughing our heads off, Yeah. And then I think maybe they got up to 4. But no, all of a sudden, one day, we've got 5.
They got 5. They got them that vibrate, and they got them that are heated.
Not heated. They vibrate. I didn't get them.
They got a heated one now from Gillette.
Really? I didn't see
it. Yeah, you stick it on a stand, and it heats. They're stupid at this point.
Well, but, why? I don't mind the one that vibrates. It seems to actually cut better.
Yeah.
Okay, but why heat? What does that do?
I guess the heated one. You know how you get a hot towel shave? I used to have a machine that I bought from Sharper Image. You stuck the can of shaving cream in there,
right,
and it heated it up, and you pressed the button, and out came the foam. It was like Barbasol.
Well, what I do is when I shave in the shower. So when I say shave in the shower, first of all,
stand there
I soften the beard by running it under hot water.
Yeah.
That's that softens it up, and then that's what I do. And then I
don't use a mirror either.
Then I put on the foamy stuff, and then I shave it, and then instead of putting on an aftershave, which I hate because they haven't made a good smelling aftershave ever.
Use a balm that softens.
No. I just put my face under the hot shower, and it takes the sting right out.
Now, does anybody I use a brush?
Well, by the way,
horsehair.
Huh?
I have a shaving brush like the barber uses.
Yeah.
I use it in the shower.
Yeah.
I put the Barbasol, whatever it is, on the brush, and then I
Oh, really? Well, it looks
Well,
like Josh never shaves because he's not even joining in on this conversation.
I try not to.
Use electric razor?
Guys, if you're listening, we hate shaving. Now you go, well, we have to shave our legs. Oh, give me a
There was a time when I used to wear suits and stuff like that. Not only would I shave, I'd finish it off with an electric razor outside of the shower.
Really?
So, so I'd have the smoothest, cleanest
because
look.
I always found that an electric razor didn't shave you as well as a blade.
No, it doesn't. I'd use the blade first in the shower.
Yeah.
Then afterwards, I'd shave with the electric razor a second time in the morning.
What could it get that the
you ever miss? You're in the shower. I have no mirror. You ever miss the little spot here or under here?
Yeah, and so when I get out of the shower, I trim that all up.
Well, this gives you a better.
No,
it's a two-stage.
Do I look terrible to you? Look.
Well, yeah. And your breath stinks.
And my breath stinks. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I needed that. I needed that. Anyway, so where is everybody tonight? Come on, folks. It's time to call the fine program here and talk to the fine people I've got lined up here to talk back at you. Or is it the fact that Phil's here?
I can fix that.
A whole bunch of people, and then Phil, you said you were not showing. You weren't going to be here tonight.
No, he didn't say that.
No, next week.
Next week.
Oh, next week.
He's promised us 3 days without Phil.
Yeah, I'm leaving Tuesday, the 5th, and I'm coming home on the 7th.
By the way, a couple of things that technologically that my life is now better. I went and I have to post these shows. I always have talked about my misery in life is having to post these shows every day, because I have to post 4 shows and make XML files out of each of them and so on. And I had a program that did it, but I had to cut and paste and cut and paste and cut and paste, and then go to the next one and cut and paste and cut and paste. And then I post the shows, and they make up what's called an XML file, and that's what you see resolved as the on-demand stuff, or iTunes, or what goes up on Spotify. And one file will make it go to all of those, okay? So I, for the longest time, have been looking for a better way to do this. And there's been this program that's been lingering on my machine for a year called Feeder. And I tried it the other day, and I started setting it up. I can now post these shows, folks, probably even with the changing of making up the new XML file thing. I could probably do the whole process in 10 minutes. And it's just changed my life. Okay?
Well, it's unfortunate. You're not going to have that to complain about anymore.
What do you mean?
Posting shows.
Posting shows. Well, I mean, I still hate doing it, but all I have to do is click, 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 and then each different page needs 4 changes of just the dates, and that's it. Everything else is duplicated that I had before, and it's wonderful. It's just to completely change my life, to where I don't really care anymore. I'm just that part of my job here is easy. Okay.
And it sat on your machine for a year before you decided to...
Well, because I couldn't figure out how it worked. I couldn't figure out how to set it up. And so one day over the weekend, I decided that I was going to give it a real go. And I did the whole thing, and I got it working and up and running, and I liked it so much. It was a trial period of 15 days or something. And for $49.99, I bought the program because it's that good. It's just liberated me. Okay, so I just wish there were a program like it for
nose hair.
No, for Windows, because then I would let my other people post their own shows. Although I would not have Jack do it, because that would take a learning curve of about 5 years. So now there's one other thing I got. Watch this. You're going to like this. You're going to be able to see the difference, I think, when I do it. Echo, turn off studio light.
Okay.
See?
Oh, you got the bulb.
No, I didn't. Echo, turn on studio light.
Okay.
Yeah. See?
Can you put the on-air sign
No,
in the same thing?
I was going to do that. Okay, to be very honest with you, I was absolutely going to do that. But when I tried it, it is a what can I call it? It's a thing you put in the plug.
Oh, it's like clap on, clap off.
No, you put it in the club in the
plug.
in the plug, and then you turn it on, and then you pair it to the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a switch to turn it on and off. It's on the line. It's not, and so up here I don't have. It has 3 prongs, and the cord I have is 2 prongs, and I can't get it to work.
No adapter.
I don't want to have to go through all of that. That's too much. So I've got it in the and by the way, from anywhere in the house I could turn this light on and off. But
because you got 6 echoes.
No, well, yeah, because I have one in almost every room. And I also I put 2 of these things in the guest room, one for the lamp in the guest room, and one for the torch light that I have. Yeah, torchiere. Oh, that's very cute, Phil. And then I put one in the bedroom for that one. And I could turn it on right now and wake her up, but I'm not going to do that. But let's see here. Echo, turn off studio light.
Okay.
Look at that. Isn't that cute? How do you like my mood lighting? Okay.
Shine
Echo,
a light under your chin.
Turn on
straight
studio light.
It's Halloween tomorrow.
Yeah,
Halloween tomorrow.
I know. So
what are you going to dress up as? Talk show host?
Talk show host, yeah. Same thing I do every year. Well, we go out and we buy. Marjorie, once again this year, went out and bought some candy. And every year, not a single kid shows up at our door. To begin with, we're in an apartment building, and we're on the 8th floor. And the kids are
tired.
use
the elevator?
The kids are tired of trick-or-treating by the time they get to the 7th floor, right?
They heard the Schwarzmans don't give out good candy.
No, they just have never tried to find out. So now she went out, she bought more, and I said, why'd you buy so much candy? She's supposed to rain tomorrow, and so probably all the kids from the apartment house are going to be doing it in the apartment house. I'll still bet you that we don't get one kid coming to our door. And I'm stuck with a bunch of candy I can't eat.
Yeah, but if you don't have the candy, they'll paper towel you, they'll egg you,
Will they really? I live in an apartment house. I'm standing there at the door. I can look out.
Well, then they put a piece of tape over the peephole and then they egg you.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, that's smart, Phil. You obviously were one of those little brats who were punked everybody.
I grew up in New York,
who punks everybody on
Halloween.
Halloween,
Yeah. You were talking to Stephen Pearl about times when you could go out as a kid and ride your bicycle. I remember when they first started talking about don't take apples from people on Halloween because they're putting needles and razor blades in them. And that I remember that was maybe in the early 60s. Prior to that, you didn't have to worry about apples.
Well, the thing was that when I was growing up, my parents would let me, you're going to go to the Saturday matinee, see you later.
Yeah.
And I'd walk to the theater. It was like about 1.5 miles. And they didn't worry about me. People didn't worry about their kids.
Right.
Today, I don't think am I right, Jeff? There isn't a parent that would do that, would let their kid just,
It's a total different world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I heard somebody talking about kids covered in Purell and, taken from event to event.
Purell.
Purell, that's what you want. They clean their hands with so they don't get any bacteria.
You don't get disease.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Let me see here. We've been joined here by Kevin. Hello, Kevin.
Hey, Alex.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
You betcha.
Well, it's Halloween tomorrow night, so I won't say it in advance.
Are you going to
Halloween
dress up?
Eve.
Are you going to dress up like Santa?
No.
Oh, so how do you answer the door to give the kids?
Probably get arrested for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. how do you when on trick or treat? Are you out with kids or
By
do
the way,
you stay at
Tony's here,
home and
too.
hand out candy?
Well, tomorrow is football night, so I will be sitting at home avoiding kids.
You turn off the lights and hope they don't TP you.
Yeah.
No, my daughter goes over to a friend's house, and my wife gets stuck answering the door.
Yeah. Well, as long as we got 2 California people here right now, how's the fires going for you?
I got marshmallows.
Roasting weenies.
Yeah, they're mostly the ones up in Sonoma and L.A. I think the L.A. one is threatening the Reagan Library.
Yeah.
And they said that the Getty Museum is fireproof, or they get. Yeah.
Yeah, they pretty much knocked that one out, I think, or at least kept it away from the.
No, they said that the building or something was fireproof. Right?
Yeah, they got all kinds of sprinklers and stuff inside and out.
Yeah.
Because it sits on a hill there.
Oh, okay. Because they took a shot tonight outside of the window of the Getty Museum.
Yeah.
And the whole place was on fire.
Yeah.
But the Getty
Oh, I'm
Museum.
thinking of the
wasn't.
Reagan Museum. I don't know about the Getty one.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Reagan. Yeah.
The Reagan Library.
They were bemoaning the fact that at the Reagan Library they've got Air Force One, and I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck is an airplane doing in a library?
Good place to put books.
When
It's the book return.
when I was when I went to the library, or library as some people used to call it, the library. I didn't if there was an airplane in the library, I would go, I'm getting the fuck out of here. There's been an accident, I mean, and if the Reagan Library burnt down tomorrow, do you think I'd care?
Nope.
They even have his Oval Office. They take the Oval Office, and I guess they get a new one for each president, but they have
the same
Reagan's.
Oval Office stays there, Phil. They just change the furniture and the drapes, you idiot.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. They
Although with Trump, they'll probably pull it all out because they'll have to disinfect the whole thing and shit.
you think Melania's drapes match the carpet?
And they'll have to take off all the gold gild that he puts on everything.
I doubt it.
Yeah. Although you know what I want, if I can get a souvenir from the Trump administration, I want the what do you call it? The thing that takes. He has all these K-cups. Do you ever notice that over to the left?
Oh yeah,
The
behind him,
K-cups right in back of him. Yeah.
Those aren't K-cups. Those are coins. I think they're called challenge coins.
Yeah.
And he has a collection from many police departments. I have a couple of them.
They look like K-cups.
They look like K-cups.
It looks like a K-cup holder for
They do.
crying
They
out
look
loud.
like K-cups.
Well, we don't need to see a challenge coin, Phil.
What is a challenge coin?
I don't know. It's for retarded people who are challenged.
Challenger. He's a hustler on the corner with his coins.
Yeah.
This one's from the Albany Police Department, and that's what you're seeing in Trump's office is police and fire. As well as military units, challenge coins.
What would he be doing that, though? He never served in anything.
Well, you collect them.
Probably like a little kid's got his stamps back there.
Yeah. Most kids collect stamps. Trump collected challenge coins.
Well, a lot of people do that.
Really? I don't.
A lot of people hope.
Yeah, a lot of people. How many
cops,
people
a
here
lot of
have
first
challenge
responders,
coins? Would you
a lot of
raise your hand,
military.
please?
I got one from the CHP. Let me see if
No,
I can
don't, Phil.
DHP. I could see him with all those cops. I could see Phil with it, but Trump, that's like.
He probably has one from Disneyland too.
Yeah. Oh boy.
You got one for Mickey?
Right. Oh boy.
CHP one is cool. See, California Finest, 2010, and then 2018, I mean, and then here's the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, but you heard about this Kurt Sutter? You know who Kurt Sutter is?
Yeah, from Anarchy.
Sons
He's
of
married
Anarchy.
to what's her name? Who was married with children?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's her name? Who was in that thing? Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, she was in Married with
I
Children.
know.
She was a backup singer.
I know.
What group?
I know. I sat on a couch with her once.
What group was she to?
I have no idea. I have no idea. But you're drifting away from my story that I'm trying to tell here.
Well, you asked me if I knew Kurt Sutter or knew of him.
Yeah, but I didn't expect a thesis. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So anyway,
and Kurt Sutter.
So Kurt Sutter started a new show called The Mayans. Right.
I watched it.
Yeah, and he just got fired from the show by FX.
Wow.
And you know the reason why?
Because the show is boring.
Well,
and it's a rip-off on Sons of Anarchy.
Well, you can rip yourself off, however. You're allowed to do that. Okay.
Yeah, but don't pass it off as new material.
They passed it for another, second season. It's in its second season now. But they fired him. And he says the reason he was fired is because he wrote a joke in one of the scripts that referred to Disney killing Jews.
Hey.
Something about one guy looking at another and says, well, you want to go to, let's go to Disneyland. He says, yeah, but Disney killed all those Jews, and who owns FX now?
Disney.
Yeah. And they went ballistic. He took it out of the script. It never made it to air. The line, we want to go to Disneyland, or this looks like Disneyland, or something was left in it. But he said he cut it out, but that was enough to piss them off.
I didn't think Disney liked Jews.
That's the joke they wrote into the screenplay.
Yeah, but Disney did not like Jews.
Well, that's not exactly true.
Walt Disney.
For instance, he hired a Jew specifically to write Song of the South because he felt a Jew would be more sympathetic to the plight of people.
Nah, it's because he was throwing the Jews under the bus.
No, but anyway, I'd like to think that he wasn't anti-Semitic and that he hated Jews, but that's why Sutter is out of that show. It's because he made it, and it's because Disney's taken over the world. All right, almost all of show business they own.
Yeah, he's on your wrist.
Huh?
He's on your wrist.
Who's on?
Ask him what time it is.
Who's on my wrist? Oh,
he's talking to Mickey watch.
Disney.
Oh yeah.
It's 10:57.
Mickey.
I never thought they'd be this big again. Disney.
With Disney?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's right. They bought Marvel Comics. They got Star Wars.
Well, you say you're amazed that Disney is this big again. Oddly enough, Disney wasn't that big. Disney was big when he did Snow White, but he didn't have another hit after that. For years. And who's I'm getting a little. Hold on a second. Let me get rid of all of you guys for a second. I was getting a little slap back. I don't know why that all of a sudden happens once in a blue moon. But anyway, so that's why Sutter's out of there, because he dare say something nasty about Uncle Walt.
His wife was on the show a couple times. I can't. Katie
Segal.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
I like
Steven
Mary.
Seagal's mother.
Yeah. There's a picture of me. She came and did a show with us that we did out of a frat house live for the morning show, and she came and did that show, and we had a couch there. So I interviewed her on the couch, and I took a shot of her on the couch with my hand in my pants, like her husband on Married with Children.
Oh yeah, he used to do that. He used to sit on the couch.
Yeah. So I don't know where the photograph is now. Probably up in smoke right now. If I have a,
What are you, Cheech and Chong?
No, well, my all my storage is up in smoke. I mean, it's in Sonoma.
Did you get a report on the complex as to
no?
its condition?
I haven't gotten a report at all. But last year, everything around it burnt down. Okay, so I figure what's left to burn down? It's kind of got a protective barrier against fire.
Before it got moved, did that old complex, the storage complex, get burned down in the previous fire?
No.
No. Okay. So
everything
not
around
only the old one that you had for 10 years.
Oh, that's in Petaluma. I don't know if Petaluma. Has Petaluma been hit?
I think last time maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think that one was like in a very... I don't know what the one that Damien runs is like, but that one was like a cinder block, and I don't know if it could have burnt down.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they have roofs. It's the roof that catches fire, not necessarily the walls.
Yeah, but I was on like the 3rd floor, and there were 6 floors. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm fine. And then I get a bill today. My rent's gone up. So, I mean...
You tell them you can't get access?
Yeah, I mean, you start out... I'm paying about $20 more a month, maybe $30 more a month. Yeah. But it's still better than where I was. They had me up to... God, I started out at like $150, and it wound up being over $400.
Yeah.
That's how they get you. That's how these storage places get you. You move your stuff in there, and they're betting you're never going to move it out. You claim it's just temporary.
Yeah.
But then you never move out.
I'm paying $200 a month now to park my motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
I have a storage room because when I sold the house, I had a 2-car garage. At the apartment, there isn't a private parking space that's sort of communal. Yeah. And even though it's underground, I don't want to park the motorcycle there because they'll steal them. Yeah. And so I leave it in a storage room. So since 2015, I've been paying now $200 a month for the motorcycle to sit in there. I could have bought a new motorcycle.
How often do you use it?
Not as often as I used to when it was in my garage. Very rarely. I think I've ridden it maybe twice in a year and a half.
Yeah.
You can rent them.
But anyway, the point is, storage lockers are a sucker's bet because, I would invest in them just simply because it's a great business. People move in, they don't move out, and if they decide they're not going to move out, but they're not going to pay, you sell their stuff and you make some money on that and then rent it out again. Yeah. It's a good deal all the way around, So how you been, Mr. Wheeler? It's funny. What show was I watching in which the lead character, it's a show on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it. And I watched the first episode, or a part of the first episode, and the guy's name is Josh Wheeler.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't watched that, I guess.
And I thought, what are the chances of that? And then I came out with my normal answer, 100%.
Yeah.
Because it happened.
Very good.
I've been well. A few nights off, so I call tonight, call tomorrow.
Yeah, you work where again now?
I work for the evil empire of paint, known as the Sherwin-Williams Company.
Oh yeah. We cover the world.
Yes.
Do you know that Sherwin-Williams is one of the largest purchasers and sellers of carpet in the nation?
They might be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they sell flooring in some of the paint stores, though. Yeah.
Yeah, they
actually sell a lot of that kind of stuff.
Now, I remember that.
They actually sell. I think you can buy blinds and curtains and all that kind of stuff through them. So they have like a home decorating division.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, my favorite thing was Sherwin-Williams because of that "We Cover the World" and then that bucket of paint going down and falling down on the earth.
Yeah.
The other favorite of mine was Dutch Boy. Are they around anymore?
Well, but they're owned by Sherwin-Williams.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready to get one of those vans and start cruising around, Dutch Boy, and
yeah, that's what I called them the evil empire of paint because they don't really have that many competitors anymore because they bought most of them out. Like they bought, I mean, they own a lot of people that you don't actually know that they own because they kept the brand name the same, such as Dutch Boy and Minwax. You know,
That's
Stains and all that. I
Duracell.
mean, they own all of that. They bought Valspar Corporation, so they own Valspar, Sherwin-Williams, plus all of Valspar subsidiaries. I mean, they're basically in every. So they're in all the do-it-yourself stores now too. So they're in Lowe's, they're in Home Depot, they're in Ace Hardware. I mean, even though it doesn't say their name on the can, they own the product.
They don't outsource their paint to like some other country, do they?
You mean to have it manufactured?
Yeah.
China.
No. It's made right here.
Because I would think
they make it all over the world.
They make it all over the world, but the paint that they sell here is made in the United States.
Oh yeah. That's what we make at my
because
plant.
I would think that would be something that really wouldn't travel all that well.
Yeah, it'd probably be expensive. No, it's made right here in America.
Yeah.
By overpaid, lazy people.
Overpaid lazy people like you.
Yeah. It's made right here in America.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I mean, they have plants that make all their stuff right here in the States that is sold here. Like they have plants that make their own brushes. Like Sherwin-Williams actually manufactures those high-end Purdy brushes and rollers. They make that out in Oregon.
But they're Chinese boar bristle.
Yeah, and they make a lot of. Sherwin-Williams is very big in the powder coating industry. So a lot of powder coatings are made here. There's a powder plant.
What is powder coating?
Cocaine.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's like a hardened material used to cover certain things for rust inhibiting and strengthening.
It's put on electrically. They have an electrical charge, and then the powder adheres to the object that's being painted.
Yeah. So I mean they don't usually apply it. They just make the product, and then manufacturers apply it to their stuff. I mean, but our plant, and then I work in a liquid plant, so we make liquid paint. Yeah. And we're an industrial plant, so we do make some house paint, but not all that much.
This may be a stupid ass question, but I never thought about this, and now I have somebody I can ask the question to. How do you make paint? What does it come from?
Well,
does it come from the paint tree?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's basically two different kinds, and we make both. We're both a solvent-based plant and a water-based plant.
Yeah.
So your main ingredient that you start with is usually some sort of solvent or some sort of water. I mean, and there are different kinds. There's deionized water, which is very, very clean, and then there's just regular. Some of it is made from just regular city water that they pump right through the pipes of the city of Columbus, right into a tank, and then.
Do you have lead-based
very large tank.
If you go to Flint, you can make lead-based paint.
Yeah, you could.
Just by using the water.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it goes into a very large tank that's called an HSD, which stands for high speed disperser. So this is nothing more than a very big tank, usually about 3,000 gallons, with a huge blade that looks like a saw blade. I mean, these are usually 24, 30 inches around. And they begin to basically spin the water or spin the solvent, and then they dump in ingredients. A lot of pigments that are powder formed. A lot of they do dump in a lot of liquids. Sometimes they pump it up from the bottom for safety purposes, so they pump it into the tank from the bottom so that it mixes in with the liquid instead of dumping it from the top. It's actually a pretty dangerous process if you're making solvent-based paint because a lot of your solvents, if you dump one solvent into another, you have to bond it and ground it and all that because it makes static electricity when it falls. And in some cases, the tank is so large it has to fall, like 10 feet. One of our plants had a flashover a couple years ago. It actually had an explosion, and about half the plant in North Carolina burnt down, and the operator was killed.
God damn.
So, we worked overtime for about a year while they rebuilt the plant and made our paint and their paint because they were like a sister plant. And so now the tanks are inerted with nitrogen. So in other words, they have huge pipes that come into the tank and they pump it full of nitrogen. There's a green light if you can dump, yellow light you need to stop, red light you can't. I mean, it's a pretty high-tech pretty high-tech process, and a lot of the ingredients that aren't pumped or aren't dumped in bags or dumped from drums or buckets by human beings are pumped in through an overhead piping system that is computer controlled. And in other words, you program that you need to run 1,000 pounds of this raw material, and there's a pump that pumps it from a tank farm that could be 2,000 yards away outside and pumps it all the way in. There's a meter that counts it, puts it in. It's a pretty long process, but basically they put it in a tank and they mix it up, they get it made, and then sometimes with your special paints they run through what's called a COM, which is like a mill that cleans it up and gives the paint its special properties. Then it gets pumped into what's called a thin down tank, where the paint is actually thinned down, and then they add the very finished ingredients. During this entire process, they take samples to the lab and check it for quality along the way, and when it's all done, it sits in a thin down tank, and then they fill it in a can, and they put it on a conveyor, and it goes on a truck and goes to the store.
And that's the story of paint. By the way, Phil, somebody said your mic is way loud.
I'll push it back.
You could also turn the thing down a bit, because I noticed last night your mic was loud too. And they're saying that I don't sound as loud as you.
Well, that's because I'm younger. But you were, that description. This is a joke, Josh. Don't take it personally. That was like watching paint dry.
Yeah. So, Josh, what do you do there?
I currently have a couple jobs, really. One of the things I do is I work for the maintenance department. At times I service equipment, and the other part of my job is basically procurement. I basically order for the maintenance department, and two, sometimes I order materials for the plant. I don't usually order raw materials because I have a couple raw material buyers, but I order all the all maintenance parts and things like that. And then other times I sometimes order for the plant things that they use that are not raw materials. So just anything. They're tools,
so you're not
materials, some packaging, stuff like that.
I just imagined you there with one of those little stirrers, those little wood stir sticks by the tank going like this. I thought that was maybe your job.
Sometimes, sometimes they actually do that because we have a small batch division inside of our plant where, people actually buy small batches of custom-made paint. And, you can get them to make you 1 5-gallon bucket of a special paint, and small batch goes up to maybe like 300 or 400, 500 gallons sometimes, of custom-made, either custom color or custom property or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes
when
they
I
make
was a
little tiny
kid,
batches.
We used to get paint for the bottom of the boat that had copper in it. Now it's illegal now, or it was almost illegal then. But I guess the copper did something with electrolysis, and you could paint the bottom of the boat, and you wouldn't get electrolysis.
Yeah, but our facility does not make very much so-called architectural house paint that you would go to the store and buy to paint the wall in your house. We do make a little, but they have a couple plants that exclusively almost do that all the time. We're an industrial plant mostly, so we make a lot of stuff that most of what we make doesn't necessarily go to the store. It goes to a warehouse and then gets shipped to another manufacturing facility who then uses our paint to put on a product that you would buy. So like we make the paint and the clear coat, for example, for Louisville Slugger to put on bats. We make a shit ton of green paint for John Deere Corporation. We make a lot of stuff. We make paint that goes on like ATM machine plastic facades and stuff that gets put in another manufacturing facility and sprayed out of guns and covers materials that you buy at the store.
Like the brown paint on a UPS truck. That's exclusive.
Yeah, we have a few other plants that make, like a plant in Kansas that just got off the strike. They make a lot of paint, like example for Boeing, to paint planes. At our plant, we have a lot of government contracts at our plant. We make a lot of military paint. So we run a lot of the beige and the dark green and the black. And we used to make moisture cure. We're not doing that anymore. Moisture cure paint, which is a very high-end, expensive paint. That's also
let me ask you this: is Sherwin-Williams
moisture cure finishes on floors?
Phil,
right?
Let me ask a question. Here, do you mind? Could Sherwin-Williams be considered a monopoly?
No.
Don't answer. I'm asking him, Phil.
Well, you got Kelly Moore.
I'm asking him the question.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, it's getting pretty close. I mean, the Valspar acquisition took a very long time. And the reason that it took a very long time was because they had to go through negotiations with the DOJ, the Department of Justice. I mean, it took they bought Valspar in 2015, and it just became done in late 2017. I mean, it took over 2 years for that process to go through. So
it's getting close.
It's getting close, and at times, the last time they bought someone, I think they bought a company called Accurate Dispersions or something like that, maybe about 15 years ago, and they were telling me at that time they were forced to sell off some other stuff because of the particular industry that Accurate served. I think they were going to be almost the only so the DOJ or whoever made them close down or sell off certain other assets. So they're pretty close. They're currently listed as the second largest paint corporation in the world, only behind, I believe, PPG. And it's only because PPG is so big into so many other things that are non-paint related. I mean, as far as just pure paint, we're probably the largest. I mean, I know DuPont makes a little bit of stuff like that too. So you basically have three people. I mean, you have PPG and you have SW and you have, DuPont, and everyone else is.
As long as there are enough players in the field that doesn't, that keeps them away from being a monopoly. So they must having the competition.
What about Kelly Moore and Benjamin Moore, which is Kelly Moore's illegitimate cousin? Aren't they pretty big?
Yeah, they're pretty big, but they're not PPG or SW big. Yeah. I mean, Sherwin-Williams is in 79 countries. I mean, there are people that work for Sherwin-Williams, who wear an SW uniform everywhere. I mean, in the Middle East, they're in China, they're in Japan, they're in Korea. I mean, they're in Brazil, they are they are 79 countries. I mean, that's, they're in almost every industrialized country.
Kelly Moore is just Ireland and us.
Yeah.
Benjamin Moore is actually Jewish.
Yeah. And then and they have facilities. I mean, they're in all 50 states. At least with stores, and they have manufacturing or blending facilities. And I don't know if it's in all 50 states, but it's got to be pretty damn close. I mean, if you want to move all over the country, you can. I could move if I wanted to take another job and make a little bit more money. We've talked about that, but it just depends. You could go pretty high if you're educated and you're decently intelligent and you work hard. But SW will work you to death. Mm-hmm. I probably shouldn't say too much bad about it. If you want them to work you fucking right into the ground and then drag your body out and fucking bring in someone else, that they're more than willing to fucking let you do it.
Yeah. Anyway,
they're a good company overall. I don't really have any complaints.
Well, let me change the subject here. The news came out today that Twitter is not going to accept political ads during the political season.
Can they raise their price on the non-political ads now that they don't have to have the political what do they call that, political buy when you buy media? The lowest price.
I don't think that goes for Twitter and people like that. That's only in broadcasting.
Oh.
And Facebook employees wrote letters to Zuckerberg and said that he should do the same thing, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I heard that, yeah.
I think they feel what they don't want is the Russians buying a lot of time.
Right.
Zuckerberg said that he didn't care what the ad said as long as they paid for it.
Yeah, that's kind of stupid, I think.
Well, yeah.
More or less is what it's
Well,
that's why it's a paid ad.
The trouble is that, in advertising, at least in broadcasting, the advertiser has to prove their claims. And they can't make claims which aren't true or they're not supposed to. I don't know how assiduously the networks go, monitor this. But, this is a field in which a lot of lies get spread in advertising, especially if you go to the internet and Twitter. They can do almost anything they want to on Twitter. You're wrong, Phil, because it doesn't apply because it only applies to old technologies, okay?
Then I'm going to advertise on Facebook. Number one. I'm the biggest.
Yeah. But I mean, I wonder how this is going to affect the campaigns. I think they said that the networks could still advertise, but not in any way that has political advocacy. They're going to come out with a set of rules in the coming days or so on, but they just don't want to take money for political ads. They just feel that there's too much lying going on, and that it allows the Russians to buy time, buy space and things like that, and they want to keep out of that space. And I think I got to hand it to them. I agree.
Yeah, if they're setting the rules now, why not?
Yeah. And I don't hear Facebook saying they're going to do the same thing. But then Facebook are a bunch of creeps, And I say that because we're on Facebook right now, and I'm saying it. Facebook's a bunch of creeps.
You're going to go to Facebook jail.
I'm going to go to Facebook jail, yeah.
But
are you ready to move on to another topic?
Oh, wait a minute. I just went on to another topic, Phil.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was just thinking about what you said with Twitter not taking political things, ads. Yeah. You know what? Maybe they shouldn't let Trump on Twitter, the president of the United States, because I don't think he should be on there, actually.
Well, I question whether that would. I don't know if that constitutes an ad. However,
is that counted as an ad? Because he's
I don't think so. I don't think so. But
but he's using it to put his points on there.
Yeah,
it's not terrible.
Well, I mean, the question is, would it be good if they? I don't know if this includes political people, as an example. In other words, if OAC wants to have a Twitter account and say her stuff about who she thinks should be president, if you said that Trump can't do it, then OAC can't do it either.
I would say everybody. I would like all the political people.
I would like to see all the political people not be able to use Twitter. Okay?
I agree with that. That's what I would say. Just everybody off of it. You want to run your ads on TV? Fine, you can do that. But
because even there, those individuals can, foist their lies, so foster lies.
Their opinion. They're considered opinions, I guess.
Yeah, and they're like assholes. Everybody's got one.
Everybody's got one.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't. What do you think, Phil?
I think that any curbing of messages is an invasion of free speech. I think that these
Phil,
Facebook
what happened? What happened to your idea that these companies are owned by people, and they can make whatever rules they want to?
Yeah, but if you write a letter to the editor in the New York Times, should it be not posted because you're of one political persuasion or another?
There are a lot of letters that don't get published in the New York Times, Phil.
Well, they can only fit so many, I guess. But are they?
They're not required.
Siphoned.
They're not required by any law to be even-handed about that.
They pick and choose.
Huh?
All right. Well, I just, these are private concerns, although they're so large now.
You're the one that before you said to me once when I brought this up, and you said, "Well, they're private companies; they can do whatever they want to do." So I'm throwing that answer back in your face.
Well, they are. It's just that
I'm throwing the answer back in your face.
Okay, but that was once, and now there are many more users on this thing, and it's actually a form of communication. And
it is a privately. It is a. I think they're publicly owned now.
They're publicly owned.
Yes, but still that makes it a person.
They're not government, but
they're owned, and they can make their own rules.
They're so large that it would be they would be controlling free speech.
No, they're not controlling free speech. They're saying they don't want you to advertise. Yes, Jeff.
Oh, also, their quantity has gone down and down every year. So you just said that they're so big and they're growing, and they're not.
Facebook has over what 2 billion users.
I was talking about the New York Times.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's fish
Well, but
wrapper.
in terms of the Twitter issue, I mean, but we're referring to, advertisements. I mean, we're not, they're not shutting off individuals, themselves.
Right.
I mean, Trump is still on
OAC
Twitter,
can
he is
still state her opinion and so on.
Yeah,
but
I mean, Trump is still on Twitter, and he is free to say, vote for me. And, Joe Biden is on Twitter, and he's free to say, vote for me. What they're talking about is shutting off advertisements paid for by unknown people that say, Joe Biden, once raped a 9-year-old, and vote for Trump. Because there's no proof that Joe Biden ever did such a thing or whatever. I think that's what they're referring to is just, made up horse manure. And they're saying instead of trying to fact check and censor, we're going to get out of the business completely.
Well, that's their
rather
choice.
than pick and choose like what you're saying the New York Times would do.
That's
They're
their
just gonna
choice.
get out of the business
refers.
Although the right-wing posters on Facebook, for instance, say that their accounts are being filtered and they're limiting the number of people that they can get through to because it's a conservative message and that they're being unfairly filtered.
What's this you're saying again?
The complaint from conservatives is that their Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as Twitter, are being filtered by the companies because they're a conservative message and they're not getting out, or they're cutting their accounts off.
And Facebook and Twitter adamantly deny those charges, and they're supposedly baseless. Charlie Wallace called us. Charlie,
hi.
Have you heard what we're talking?
4-2 Nationals.
What?
Really?
Top of the 9th, 4-2 Nationals.
Wow.
It's probably going to be the first World Series ever where the visiting team won every game.
Okay.
I think people are tired of Houston.
Yeah, well, I mean, does this mean that it's going to be over tonight?
Yeah.
It's Game 7.
Okay, it's Game 7. Okay, I haven't been paying attention at all.
Sorry, I didn't mean.
I haven't been paying attention until they started booing at Trump. Then I started paying attention.
Yeah.
Hey, did you hear that Juul laid off 15% of their workforce today, which was, I think, either 1,500 or 15,000 people. Their CEO, I think, this might not be new news, but their CEO was replaced or was fired.
That was
today,
weeks ago.
They laid off a whole bunch of people, and their stock dropped really big time because of the litigation. They are no longer allowed to sell flavored vape things.
I don't know that does now. Since I don't vape, okay, and I have no intention of vaping anytime. Well, except for the pot that I vape. My question is, does Juul also sell the tobacco products that go in their vaping?
I don't know.
And if they don't, then that shouldn't affect them. That shouldn't affect their bottom line. What should affect their bottom line is that, a lot of parents are seeing their kids vaping, and that's bothering them.
I believe they do. I believe that whole vape thing is all one package, isn't it?
Well, I don't know, but are they selling the tobacco product?
Do they buy it from Reynolds or
I don't know. They've got the whole package. I think it's the whole unit.
Well, they have the unit.
Comes with the stuff in it.
They have the unit. Well, yeah, but my question is, the tobacco product, I think, has to be made by someone who is registered and to be able to create a tobacco product.
Yeah, I don't know if they make it.
They probably buy the tobacco, I would assume, because they don't.
I mean, is Juul simply the delivery system? Is what I'm saying, and that you.
Well, when they do their advertisements, there's a disclaimer in the beginning of the advertisement about tobacco product. So
Well,
I've heard that before on the radio.
They might be doing that because they are a delivery system for tobacco. You know, I mean,
Jeez, Josh.
I just don't know. I know so little about the vaping business. All I know is I think that Juul is being given too bad a time in all of this.
Well, you know. I got a suggestion for Josh to put in the suggestion box over at his company. They should make paint vape cartridges. You know, so you vape the paint. It's just another way.
You just came up with that idea. God, $1 million idea,
vaping,
Phil.
Yeah, $1 million idea.
Yeah, people.
Put it in the suggestion box.
That's called huffing.
It's it's called huffing, Phil, and you don't need a vape to do it. Okay, so. I just think that the verdict is out on vaping as to whether it's the vaping that's dangerous, the actual inhalation in that form, or if it is the adulterated products that you are vaping. You know,
I have a feeling it's the some people pull that stuff in so deep. And I don't think vaping is meant to be inhaled in such a forceful manner, and I think that's where they're getting the lung damage on some of these people. You know, there's 18 of them that are dead.
What do you mean by
hundreds more
in
that
such
are
a
injured.
forceful manner? It's the same as
I saw people doing with the marijuana. And
well,
that's
marijuana is a completely different story. We're talking now about vaping tobacco.
But no, vaping the marijuana. And they.
I'm talking about. We're not talking about vaping marijuana right now. We're talking about general vaping, in which they are vaping tobacco products.
All I said was.
You said marijuana.
I have seen people take it in a very forceful manner, the same way that you do with a joint.
Yes, because it's the way you do it with a joint, Phil. You don't smoke tobacco
that way. I think
what
you're talking about is, I think you can turn up the volume and get a stronger hit off it. Because I know what you're saying. Sometimes I see people sitting in a car and it comes blasting out of the car. Yeah. And then sometimes you just see someone with a nice light smoke. But sometimes I see a cloud coming out like it's like blasting
Cheech and
out.
Chong, yeah.
Yeah, and I go, damn, how the hell do those people take that into their lungs?
Yeah.
And when you think about vaping, it's a vapor. And if you're inhaling vapor into your lungs, doesn't that cause a pneumonia type reaction? You know,
that has to give you cancer.
It's
well, who knows? But I don't.
If it's liquid into your lungs, a vaporization.
It can't be.
It's almost like pneumonia. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
I'll tell you. I think they're gonna eventually find out that the actual act of vaping wasn't causing the problems. The problems seem to be all the deaths they report are kids who went out and bought marijuana illicitly. And
probably.
Yeah, and that
it's the shitty process of what they were inhaling. Yeah.
Well, there were additives they also threw in there.
Exactly.
You know,
because they found that with the pot too. The pot they were lacing pot, and that's why they came out with all the restrictions and all the testing that they're doing now, because there was pot out there that was being laced to make it stronger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it has to be tested for all kinds of metals.
By the way, did you hear about marijuana? About marijuana in California, that there are a lot of people who aren't legally growing marijuana, and are shipping it out of state.
Oh, really?
Yes, and it is a bigger business than the legal business.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they'll just ship it to New York or whatever. Wow.
Before they legalized,
if you
tell you what,
wrap it up properly,
our town smells like pot everywhere.
You know, before they legalized marijuana in California, Mendocino, the whole economy was a marijuana-based growers' economy.
I was just down at the school district tonight, and there's like 10 acres of it growing behind the school district.
Yeah, was the principal and superintendent hitting up in the restaurant?
It's illegal grow, isn't it?
Yeah, it's for hemp.
Okay.
And then there's another one about a mile down the road, and then there's another one about another mile down the road, and those are all legal open grows for hemp, because we just past hemp grows.
But hemp doesn't get you high.
Hemp doesn't. Huh?
It's for
rope and paper
for fiber. Yeah.
You know they're making flooring
they
out of hemp.
also have indoor grows everywhere going on now. We have 2 dispensaries in town. We only allowed 2 dispensaries, but we have indoor grows for manufacturing, up to 20,000 square feet per, and then we've got manufacturing and we've got testing. We're going to become one of the largest testing areas in California. So all the testing will come through this town here.
Wow.
And we're going to tax it all.
Good.
Yeah.
So did the wild ones.
It's crazy, but the testing is the big deal.
What
the whole thing that Alex was talking about, it sounds like was probably the feature that was done on 60 Minutes Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, and that whole problem is caused by the fact that you can have marijuana in like 3 states or whatever, and you can't in the rest. And that problem, to me, it seems would cease to exist if it were just legal in all the other states. I mean,
correct.
I watched that 60 Minutes report too, and I see the sheriff flying around the helicopter, and look at down there, there's those growing marijuana plants, and I think, oh, thank God you were here to save us from those fucking marijuana plants, because God forbid we put those on a truck and drive them over here so some people can fucking smoke that shit. I mean, like, thank God for the fucking police.
They still do that around here too.
Do you remember camp? The police had a thing called camp. I went up to Humboldt County one summer for a week with the Richmond Police Department. They sent a bunch of us up there, and we were chopping down plants.
I bet you felt really good about that, Phil.
You know what? They still have those in California too.
What?
They still have them.
They still have the cutting down of plants. They were showing that on the 60 Minutes piece. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what.
As I watched it, I don't know, Josh, if you got the same feeling I did. I got the same feeling that you seem to have gotten out of it. About, do you feel good about this? Do you really feel good about this?
Yeah.
You know,
we're all safer today because there's less of those fucking marijuana plants. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I got like 400,000 guns over here, and they're all for sale, and you can come buy some, but don't you smoke any of that fucking weed. Fucking break.
Well, if you want to stop the rapes and women being assaulted, you just got to get the marijuana off the street.
I guess.
You're not serious.
I saw the movie.
Okay. I didn't think you were serious.
The one guy that they talked to on 60 Minutes was basically saying that if you wanted to legally grow marijuana in California, the stack of paperwork is about this motherfucking thick. You got to spend like $800 gajillion fucking dollars a year to be able to do it. But, you know, if I want to set up a tent on the curb and sell fucking guns, it's like, a gun for you, a gun for you, 2 guns for you.
You get a gun.
They're probably going to get one free today. You know, I mean, get the fuck out. I mean, what the fuck are we worried about this shit for? I mean, it's fucking weed. I mean, is there a fucking epidemic of people getting high and fucking doing something? I mean, I'm just not aware of it.
Aren't we a little bit over that discussion about marijuana being dangerous?
No,
it's 6-2 now.
Ought to be.
It's a what do they call it? A gateway drug.
That's what they used to tell us in school. We had
Next, after that, you'll be doing aspirin and Milky Way bars.
Because I'm hungry.
Gateway to fucking euphoria and happiness. God forbid we all have that.
Yeah.
It's funny. They made you watch the.
What?
It's true. I mean, they used to make us watch that drug thing, the gateway drug. They used to put the egg in the thing.
By the way,
but, this is your brain on.
It's getting towards the end of the show here, so
is it?
6-2.
Might as well.
Hey man, I got to do away with this fan up here. So I can't do it with the fan.
Tell Echo to turn
It's
it
almost like they want to put the fear in you for everything, like in life. Like I guess when you're a kid or when you get older, like don't do this and don't do. You're afraid to do anything. You know what? I don't want to work. I know I don't want to do.
No, that's just because you're Catholic. If you're Catholic, they use fear. You know. Oh, if you do this, you're going to wear glasses. You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
you'll go blind. You'll go blind. But I just did it till I wore glasses. You know. Alex is doing illegal shit.
Here's Doper's language. Okay, it's a word that only appears when you're smoking pot, and that's ear.
I wonder if I would see things differently. Hi, I might like Trump. No, I doubt it. I probably hate him.
There isn't enough dope in the world to do that, Tony.
There's no such fucking drug.
No, there is no such. By the way, tomorrow I'm saving this for the end of the show because I don't want Phil to get apoplectic. But tomorrow it looks like the vote is going to happen about opening impeachment to the.
And it's on Halloween. That's funny.
Yeah,
means nothing.
But opening
kangaroo court.
No, it isn't a kangaroo court. They're opening it up so that the public can see it now, and so it can be.
That's very nice. It's just that they're not going to let the Republicans subpoena any witnesses.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
Oh,
yes, they will.
They can ask, but then they
yes, they will, folks.
The witness they can't subpoena is the whistleblower.
Well, no, there's other witnesses too. That
And there's a rumor. There's a rumor tomorrow that. What's his name? Bolton's going to be testifying.
Officer Joe Bolton?
Yeah. And if Bolton testifies tomorrow, that is going to be a bombshell.
I think Bolton, because he got fired, but he's got his own agenda. Can you imagine, Bolton wants war with everybody.
Listen, nobody here on this panel in their wildest imaginations ever liked like Bolton. Did you like Bolton, Charlie?
Heck no.
Did you like Bolton, Jeff?
Don't know.
But that's the problem.
Josh, did you like Bolton?
He's going to go up there and testify tomorrow, and immediately afterward, there's going to be this long train of running him down by the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Who on this date 12 years ago, when he was in charge working for George Bush, thought he was the Christ.
But on the other hand, you're going to have nothing but a bunch of left-wingers running around suddenly loving Bolton. Right. It's strange.
Yeah, right.
I got a feeling that nothing's going to come of it, and it's going to be more egg on their face like the Mueller thing.
I think the impeachment's going to happen. That's going to happen. It's not going to happen in the Senate.
The only reason
this is all a shit show.
Let somebody else talk, Phil. Charlie was trying to talk there.
The only reason Mueller didn't go anywhere is because the DOJ has this ridiculous policy that you can't indict the president. That's the only reason Mueller didn't go. Mueller pointed out 10 separate instances where he did obstruction of justice.
Okay, now Phil, because I just wanted to let Charlie get in there because he hadn't said anything tonight.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. How's that?
Okay. Yeah.
We'll see. You're counting your eggs before they hatch. Your chickens. And this has been very, very common with this whole witch hunt. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. We'll see. We'll see. Bolton's going to be asked questions. He's going to answer those questions. And I don't think the only thing Bolton had is he wanted to go in and bomb everybody. And Trump, to his credit, said, no, we're not going to do that. And so, Bolton's out. He had a disagreement.
Yeah.
Some people said he disagreed with Giuliani. I don't know that would have caused Trump to fire him.
We've just been joined by Bree, by the way.
And his ceiling tiles.
Once again, something that's more disgusting than Tony's wallpaper is your ceiling.
No, I like the butterfly in the light. There's a butterfly up there.
Is there a butterfly up there?
It's a reflection, he says. But
I guess I just have problems with some of those arguments because where would have been the criticism when Trump hired John Bolton?
It was.
All these things were known, by people in the Republican Party. All these things were known about John Bolton when he got. If there was ever a man who had fucking warmonger tattooed on his fucking forehead, it would be fucking John Bolton. Yet they hired him. I don't understand.
Exactly.
Exactly. they nominate a guy to be an ambassador, and he goes and he testifies before the Senate today, and he says disparaging things about Rudy Giuliani, and then they put out a tweet that says, "Oh, this guy has no idea what he's talking about." Wait, you just told me the guy that you fucking nominated to be the ambassador to a very important country has no idea what he's talking about? I mean, you run down your own fucking people. I don't understand. I mean,
he was a UN ambassador.
What the fuck sense does that make?
He's done that shit with everybody.
But you know,
if he was good enough at one point, why isn't he good enough now? I think that's what you're saying.
20 minutes ago.
Sometimes you give people power and they abuse it. You know, and
yeah, we know.
We know. We're quite aware of that, Phil. That's what we're arguing
one
here.
One particular person in particular that does that. Yeah.
Never Trump.
No.
I love how you get your talking points now from Donald Trump. That never Trumper thing came out of him.
No, but I just.
It's not like you made it up.
Hear the double entendre? I didn't say you're a never Trumper. I said never Trump.
Okay, the Nationals are.
He wouldn't do that.
Away from winning.
What? How far are they away from winning?
3 outs away.
Yes. Yep. We go to Malaysia now for our sports report and an update on the World Series.
6-2.
What a small world this has become, right, Bree?
Yeah.
You know, and you can sit there.
You know, there's so many issues that happen in these games where I have a lot of questions about them, and you know, and nobody. Sometimes they talk about them, and sometimes they don't. But you have a sports Emmy, Alex, so I guess I could ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's like asking Bolton if he wants peace.
Well, there was one of the games, maybe 2 games ago, I can't remember, maybe it was last game, where Washington, one of the players got in a rundown between third base and home plate. Mm-hmm. And the Astros essentially, I guess the pitcher went to cover home plate or something, and he was standing right in front of home plate as they got into a rundown. Now, if the Nationals player had continued to home, he would have made it, but he would have to knock the guy out of the way. My thought was, there's some new rule that you can't block the plate when the runner is going to the plate, but the guy was clearly standing up directly in the path. So, to me, he should have been able to push the guy out of the way and score the run.
Did he have the ball?
He did not. He was waiting for the ball to come.
Oh, okay.
And the other guy was holding it as he was trying to get him to commit to a way.
Yeah.
And eventually he pulled back, and the third baseman tagged him. But he only pulled back because the guy was standing right in the pathway. He should have just knocked him over and scored.
Well, that's called obstruction.
That sounds like a Republican move.
At the risk of losing my Emmy, I don't understand a word of what you just said.
Translate it to food. The guy was in the way of the plate. You want what's on the plate. So you knock the guy out of the way and you take the food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But now I understand.
Right, of course.
Yeah. When it comes down to food, that's something I can easily understand.
Yeah, you said you can't eat this.
You know, I was talking to Stephen Pearl tonight, and if it turns out I have prostate cancer and that I'm going to die and it's terminal, it's heroin time for me. And it's everything I ever wanted to eat time for me, you know.
Yeah.
But I probably won't be that lucky, you know.
You know, sugar feeds the cancer. So you haven't really had much in the way of carbohydrates in several years. Uh-huh. So I think you're doing yourself a great service by not going for the carbs.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I probably don't have the bad the bad cancer. You know.
Is it good cancer?
No, it's slow growing. Yeah.
You know, you were like Alan Arkin. When they opened up the show, the Kaminsky second season, he says to Michael Douglas, did you ever have problems with words? Finding a word? Yeah. And it reminded me of you.
Well, and you know what happens more because of this drug I'm taking? This gets me, although I have been learning, Jeff will understand this, I've been relearning how to do everything. So that under this drug, I can do it, okay? And I just, it's like the reason I was having trouble with a lot of things was because I was going under the misassumption that all this came easy to me. And it did, but it doesn't now. So I have to relearn the fact that I have to think ahead of doing something before I do it. You know, where before I was doing it out of memory, sense memory.
Rote memory.
Yeah.
Think of it as a chess game. And you just got to think a few moves ahead.
I never thought a few moves ahead in chess, and that's why I was so fucking lousy at it.
One strike away.
Huh?
Yeah. One strike away.
One strike away.
Full count.
This
full
is
count,
this is
bottom
a
of the ninth.
first, ladies and gentlemen. We're actually. By the way, you do know. You
can't repeat baseball stuff.
Well, you are not allowed to do a recreation or description of the game without the written permission of the commissioner of baseball, who is it? Last name
you don't know.
The last name I remember is Peter Uberoff, but I think that was a couple of.
No, he's not there anymore. I know that.
What?
I know Uberoff's not anymore, but I don't know who is now.
Yeah. But,
you know who's the softball commissioner?
But anyway, who would have thought that we would be getting sports reports from Malaysia on what's happening? Now, since
that's who you're competing against, Alex. I had to put it on my laptop so that I could call you on my iPad. I usually watch on my iPad.
So what does this guy Joe Torre do? Play against the Whigs?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's out in the Nationals and what?
Game over.
Game over. Oh, hey! America beat the United States beat getting the. Did you? Is it game over yet where you are?
Texas. They beat the Texans.
Bree.
What?
Is it over where you are? The game?
Yes, it's done.
Okay. How fast was it? How long ago was it over? Because Kevin called it before you did.
20 seconds ago. I don't know.
No, I think he's ahead of you. I think we're ahead of you a little bit. Although what do? You get it off? You get it off the internet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but I paused it while I called you.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. But okay. Well, anyway, so it's all over. So now
will the Nationals go to the White House and visit Trump? Or are they going to make a stink?
I think they need another opportunity to boo him.
Well, I got a feeling that they'll go to the White House, and I got a feeling he'll invite them.
I have a feeling he isn't going to have anything to do with baseball ever again.
Ever again.
Well, did you hear the? Oh, you probably didn't. I don't know if you listened to. You watch Colbert.
No.
Here.
Well, don't play something from the Colbert Show because that would be. Yeah.
Get him in trouble.
But I mean, the bigger question would be they usually don't do these visits for 4 or 5 months until after it's all done, sometimes not even till the next season. So the bigger question is, will Trump even be president when they visit?
Yeah. They don't have to travel far. They're right there.
Yeah. But
they take the bus and boom, they show up at the White House.
Well, I mean, they typically wait until the following season. A lot of times
also,
or like spring training or something when they're all together because all these people live all over.
Also, the Nationals have to take into consideration that at their home game, he was booed roundly. Okay.
Exactly.
And wait a minute, let me finish, Phil, before you jump in.
I just did this with my head.
I know, I get scared. It's sense memory. That they know how badly he got booed in their stadium to their home crowd that maybe they don't want to go to the White House because that would give them a bad rep with their audience.
The Texas crowd would never boo Trump. They're red, true and true.
You don't know, Phil. This man.
They elected Ted Cruz.
This man attempts at every juncture to make sure that he's not put in harm's way so far as being humiliated. And that's why he's so hated being at that correspondence dinner years ago when Obama made some jokes about him. The day he decided to go after Obama was the day Obama made those jokes at the correspondence dinner, which that's what you do.
Didn't he go after Obama before that with the birther thing?
I think so. Yeah.
Now he's been after Obama for a while, and rightfully so.
Yeah, right. Because
to show how smart he was. He probably would have been smarter to just go to a Houston game instead of a Nationals game.
You know, if I don't know if I'm speaking for Donald, I don't know if I'm speaking for Donald Trump when I say he was an uppity Negro. So.
You think he will ever throw out the first pitch? I think, he's very athletic. He plays
he
golf.
Would throw it
yeah. He doesn't play aggressive golf because look at the paunch on that guy. He
would throw it halfway and have his assistant throw it the other half.
We haven't had a president that fast since, I don't know, Teddy Roosevelt.
Didn't Bush throw out a ball? And he got it over the plate.
Yeah.
But about every other president has.
Yeah, but this guy won't go to the correspondence dinner. He doesn't want to be ribbed, No,
he doesn't want the rubber chicken,
But I mean, he doesn't.
He only likes Kentucky Fried.
No, but he doesn't. Right. No, he doesn't want to be ribbed, And he doesn't. He's not going to another baseball game. He's not putting himself in that kind of situation ever again. I was surprised he was going to do it in the first place.
I don't blame him. Well,
not unless he sells tickets to it.
Well, you see, when he holds those rallies, it's a false sense of your popularity because you fill up a stadium, so big deal, Well, instead, why don't you quit the presidency and take your comedy act on the road? You could sell out auditoriums.
How many people actually booed him at the the lock 'em up thing?
A lot more than 20,000. That's for sure.
Well, how many people were at the game? How many people are in that stadium?
Somewhere around 50 or 60,000, I would think.
All right, and even based on the population, that would mean that half of the people are Democrats.
If you listen to it, it sounded almost like everybody was. Yeah.
Well, they have these.
And then they went into the chair of lock him up, and that one was, you could definitely hear that was at least half a stadium.
It was all about prison reform, and they're yelling lock him up.
Well, do you ever stop to think of the reason why he supports prison reform? Is he maybe the subject of it someday?
Yeah. You're gonna learn.
I was actually surprised. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What?
I was just surprised that he had time to go to the game. I mean, I thought he was busy killing al-Baghdadi.
And the number 3 guy.
I had to get al-Baghdadi. I mean, they kept coming to me and saying al-Baghdadi, and I said, "Bring me al-Baghdadi."
And he said, "Sir, I've got al-Baghdadi." Hey, do you know how they got the pictures of al-Baghdadi whimpering and crying running down the tunnel? They had a GoPro on the dog.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and Trump was giving him doggy treats too, right?
Yeah. I didn't see any video of Baghdadi running and whimpering.
The president said so. He was whimpering.
Listen, the president acts like he was part of the raid and that he was watching this as it was happening. He wasn't watching it as it was happening. He was playing golf. He was playing golf. He saw a video of it later.
Yeah, of the dog cam that was running down the tunnel.
And by the way, for the president to call him a coward, the guy did have a suicide vest on him, and he did blow it up. So, I mean, what kind of coward is that?
That's a coward that doesn't want to get caught.
Oh, geez. Okay, so if you get caught, you're not a coward?
And he kills 3 of his kids.
Well, that was a big mistake that he did that.
The guy beheaded people.
I know he was terrible. Look, you don't have to sell me on how bad this guy was. He was taking gay people and throwing them off buildings. So anyway, hey, listen, that's a theme. Oh, thank God, it's the theme, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone else in 2020? Thank you so much, Kevin, for that tonight.
Minutes.
Huh?
Only kidding. You still got 15 minutes.
No, that's my career has 15 minutes. Josh, thank you so much. Let me get everybody in the picture so I can say goodbye to everybody. Jeff, thank you so much. Phil, thank you. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Tony. Thank you very much, Charlie, and of course our old friend who is over there in Malaysia, Bree, who is waving his cap there. And I will wave my hand, and if you'll all wave goodbye, we can say goodbye to each other, okay? That's our citizens panel, folks, for tonight. Let me just get rid of them here. So the next guy, who is Jack Bishop, who has a thing called the intersection, can come up next and use the Skype lines as well. Be sure to stick around and call him. He could use your input. That's it for me. See you again tomorrow night. I don't know if there's going to be any exchange because Damien has still been forced to move out of his home because of the fires. But we'll see you again tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody.